Well, look, we saw a number of factors coming together which gave us a great deal of concern. I mean, the issues for Europe are, how do we get a secure source of energy? How do we get a low carbon source of energy? And how do we do that at low prices that keep us competitive in the global economy? Just expanding briefly on that, we are in a very tough time economically. Consumers are squeezed. We need to think about how we're going to protect them. We have an investment issue. This continent needs a great deal of investment, and we've got to find a way of liberating that and dealing with the challenge we face. And the issue of greenhouse gas emissions needs to be dealt with, and on top of that we have a very, very pressing matter, which is the closure of coal-fired power stations. Now you take all these things together, the big three issues, we call this the trilemma, and there are conflicting priorities, and for Europe to succeed we have to pick our way through these and come up with a policy framework which lets us reach those objectives. And I just repeat them really: energy security, low carbon energy, and the lowest possible price energy that we can get. Well, Europe is suffering from an energy infrastructure investment famine. The people you would expect to invest in this, which is the power companies, have relatively weak balance sheets. The investment climate is very challenging because people are very reluctant to commit to things where there isn't some certainty. And of course it's very important that the people managing this 13.8 trillion, which is after all our money, it's our savings, it's the money we put away for retirement and for the unforeseen. It's very, very important that those people investing our money have a framework of security in the sense of what policy will be. So critical to this we see is the need for Europe and member states to come forward with policies which drive the green agenda, which drive energy security, and of course actually drive innovation in a way which gets prices down. Now look, we're going to invest $1 trillion over the coming years. We must leverage that trillion to bring forward tremendously innovative technologies, because not only will we drive the costs of energy down for us and have more secure energy, but we can build an industry which lets us export that technology to the rest of the world. Let's face it, we're not alone in the issues of carbon and carbon reduction. We're about 10% of the world total. So there's 90% to go for out there, and if we can get these technologies right, we can not only save money for ourselves, we can create jobs for us Europeans. Well, I mean, the EU and member states really have got to agree their energy policy. We've got to set it out, people have got to know what it is, and then people can invest accordingly. A couple of things. I mean, we're clear that the EU needs to aim to reduce its emissions by 40% by 2030, that's compared with 1990. And of course that's on the trajectory to 2050, where we see we want to get this down by 80%. So clear, we have to do that, okay? I think then the other area is how to do it. Well, we have this thing called the ETS, Emissions Trading System. It was designed when the world economy and the European economy were somewhat more buoyant. It has not delivered, and we need it to deliver. We need a floor in the carbon price. Only if we have that floor can investors know which technologies to invest in to deliver what we need to. So we're very much calling for that. We appreciate the difficulties in Europe. I mean, some countries don't want to import gas from the east, they want to burn coal. And that presents a challenge among the 27, but we have no doubt that that will be resolved in time. And finally, we need a target for renewables. It's very impressive what the Germans have done. It's impressive what we've done in offshore wind. But we need targets, because these are expensive technologies at this stage, and we need to prime the pump to make sure that they become cheaper, more available, and of course help to reduce carbon emissions. What will happen next is, of course, we will present this report to Parliament. But in doing that, our objective is to influence policymakers. policymakers in the European Union, policymakers in the Parliament here, and policymakers in other parliaments in other EU member states. This is about big policy. These are huge levers, and we believe that the points we're making, that the policy recommendations we're pursuing will help frame a system in Europe which lets us meet those very simple objectives. And I'll just bang on about them again. It's very simple. We want low carbon, we want security, and we want it at the lowest possible price and the highest technologies we can get. And I think we have not focused on the UK. This is a European-wide challenge. In fact, some have said it's a global challenge, but we're a European, not a global committee. We have focused on Europe's needs. The challenges are tremendous. And frankly, if we don't do something about it, we're going to be faced with power shortages. And if we don't get the investment into this, bills will go up to a level which people will find very difficult. So it's a pressing matter. And we still feel there's a little bit of complacency out there, both in the Commission and Member States, and we challenge them to get on and do something about it.